Hello, my last video on this channel was a quite comprehensive retrospective look back at the Jackass franchise and what it meant to me back in the day when it was big, I guess. And in that video, I also kind of looked ahead at the upcoming new Jackass film, Jackass Forever, and asked some questions and voiced some concerns about what that might be like. Well, now Jackass Forever is out, and I have seen it. And so I thought I would do a sort of update / proper review of the film and go back and tick some of the boxes of the things I mentioned in that video and see whether they actually came to light. I have a couple of amendments to make. One of them, very quickly and a little bit obvious, but at the very beginning of the video I said a new Jackass film comes out at the end of October. It's not October. Like a week after I uploaded that video, it got pushed back again to February, which is now. I also have another amendment, quite big, but I want to touch on that as part of the review later. I also found a quite good article on IndieWire that has a sort of interview and some quotes from Johnny Knoxville and Jeff Tremaine, and there's some good points in this that I kind of want to talk about in relation to all the Jackass stuff while I'm reviewing it. So without further ado, I guess I'll just get into it. I'll give you the too long didn't read. It's fucking incredible. I still smile thinking about it, and I watched it a couple of days ago. It's so pure Jackass. It was not a letdown in any area, in any element of the film, and by any stretch of the imagination. I'm going to talk about in detail the really good parts and get into some of the stuff more. The very first thought I had walking out of the cinema room, and this really ties into my, historical emotional connection with it as well as anything, but if there weren't wrinkles and grey hair in this movie, you would not be able to tell any distinction between time that has passed between this and the last Jackass movie that is released. Its style, its humour, its sort of foundations, the limits they go to, the sort of essence and the aura and the character of the franchise itself, as well as this group of people, is exactly the same, or at least it feels exactly the same as it did since I last saw them on the big screen in a film together in Jackass 3 all the way back in 2010. This is the first film in my history of watching films that I can remember the entire audience having an audible sort of presence together and being so outspoken and laughing so much together. The entire room was in uproar every few minutes, and it's like an hour and a half long film, and it's just constant laughter. I was in tears within the first 20 minutes, which was a great sign that, really within 20 minutes I was like, this is what I wanted, this is great. Now the biggest change, and I think it's the biggest change that people know, is the new cast members that had joined, and they're all really great. There wasn't a single one I disliked. They fit really well in. They were instantly really, buddy and communal with the older guys. Poopies, which is actually one of the guys' names. Poopies was my particular favourite. There's a new guy called Zach, who is even bigger than Preston. He's a very large guy, and he's a fucking maniac. Like, he'll go in and do stunts that could kill a large person, like a fat person, and he won't hesitate in the slightest. It's crazy to watch, and I give him a lot of credit for that. He was really fun to watch. I think one thing that I was really surprised about watching it was I thought they were going to actually take up the majority of the really difficult stunts, because before I saw it, I thought this is a really good solution to the problem that the older guys can't take some of the hits that that they'd previously taken. But no, they didn't give the hard hits to the younger guys and just stood on the sidelines themselves. It was very rare that some of the new younger crowd would actually be in stuff by themselves. Usually it would be a mix of the original cast and some of the new cast. I asked in my original video, are they, can they still take these hits? And they did. They fucking ate them like cake. I think my favourite part of the whole run of it, maybe out of all the stunts, was what they did with a lot of the stunts. They paid homage to original stunts that put them on the map, or some of the bigger early ones that they'd done. And one of them was the cup test, which was one Johnny Knoxville did back in the day in season 1. It was a really, really early one. And they do a new cup test in this one with Aaron. And it's just seeing Aaron's reaction to having these cup tests performed on him. Just thinking about it is so good. They were so good watching him take these cup tests and reacting to them. They messed with Aaron a lot in the original series. I talked about this in my video, and I think one of the reasons it worked so well is because Aaron had the best reactions of like fear and anticipation. One thing I can say about this film, as a like standing point of Jackass, they have never messed with Aaron more and as big as they did in this film. They fuck with him. I watched some of the stuff in the earlier series and thought, why would he ever hang out with these guys after this? After the terror taxi, for Christ's sake. What they do to Aaron in this film is fucking manic, and I've never seen them do anything like it. I've never seen them go that hard on one of their own crew members before. It's fantastic, and I love how much they fucked with Aaron. It was my favourite thing, and it just reminded me of how they used to fuck with him back in the day. A lot of the public stunts they did throughout the run of Jackass, I made a point to note that every time they did a public stunt, i.e. a stunt that, the public was observing and they were witness to, and they got genuine reactions from genuine people who didn't know it was a fake thing, they were always... they were never mean-spirited. They were always in the interest of shock entertainment rather than actually inflicting something like fear into someone. They were exciting events, but they never made the person feel like they were in any harm or danger. And they actually talk about this a little bit in the article that I read. This is from the mouth of Johnny Knoxville himself. We're mean to each other, but we're not mean to other people. I think all that speaks to the public. That's exactly what I was talking about in my video. They do some of the public stunts in this, and in the end credits, they're filming the members of the public after they've told them, oh, this was a stunt, this was a prank, we've pranked you, kind of thing. And the reactions are always positive, they're always healthy. The dude's reacting like, well, wait, that wasn't real? Oh, that was awesome, you really got me. Like, they're really happy about it because it wasn't mean-spirited, and it's just fun to watch organic reactions like that sometimes, and the members of the public that are involved get that. As I said before, all the original crew do an absolute great job, and they really get stuck in there. The big amendment that I talked about at the beginning that I did want to mention is, in my video, I touched on the fact that the time... Bamajira had recently been kicked off the production because of the legal troubles between him and Jeff Tremaine. There's been a change, but I want to sort of clarify it. You can technically say that Bamajira appears in this film, that Bamajira is in this film, because there is a small point where he is shown in the film. What the instance is a... stunt that they did very early on. They filmed it very early on before all the legal trouble had really taken place, and it was very clear that this stunt was a big one that took its toll, and so they didn't want to let the footage go to waste, because it's the stunt that very early on put Steve-O in hospital. Now, during the stunt, you see Bam's face in the background as he's taking part in the stunt. However, he's not credited like any of the cast members. He doesn't even get a name blip at the bottom. I think for legal reasons they couldn't do that, but they literally couldn't cut around him out of that sketch. There was no way they'd filmed it that they could. In a technical amendment, when I said Bam Margera isn't in this film, technically he is. However, no essence of what makes Bam Margera and what made him a valuable cast member in the earlier films and series is in this film. I think it's closer to the truth if I tell you you're not going to see Bam Margera in this film. But that was a thing that changed again very, very recently before the film came out. I think in test screening, someone just noticed it. They had a Leonardo DiCaprio one, and yeah, that was my shit Leo meme. If you're a fan of Jackass and you've heard that Bam is in the film and you're excited to actually see him, unfortunately, you're not really going to see anything that makes an appearance from Bam Margera worthwhile, and all the legal stuff that went on is still very much in place. Now, obviously, Ryan Dunn couldn't have appeared in the film as, an active cast member, but there is a very touching and kind and humble tribute to him during the credits, and the film is dedicated to him. And I believe some of the footage of him in the credits is even never before seen footage, or at least I don't recognise it, and I've seen a lot of Jackass footage in my time. He will always be, a very integral Jackass member and valued friend to the crew, and so they really felt it was the best way to include him, and it works really well. I'm really glad it's there. They did a great job honouring him. And it's just nice to see him be part of a new film. The newcomers were a definite, unexpected highlight of the film. And I think anyone who enjoys Jackass, anyone who enjoyed the series and the films, I think before the film came out, it's very easy to look at and go, new people. Are they going to be anything like the new ones? But I think anyone who loves Jackass is going to watch it and really like the newcomers as well, and see that they're just like them. They're people who grew up with Jackass and are really thrilled to be a part of it and watch them and laugh with them again. Johnny Knoxville doesn't really have plans to go ahead with a new Jackass. However, we still have some more stuff coming. There is a 4.5 coming out, as there has been with all of the Jackass movies. An extra film with deleted stunts and crew interviews. At the very least, I think that people enjoyed it only a little bit for, the sort of connection it might have had to their childhood or their history of how much they enjoyed Jackass as a kid. And I'm also just enjoyed it because it's fucking funny. It's funny to watch a bunch of dudes just get together and react to shock and pain and have all this crazy shit done to them. It's just entertaining to watch. Its beauty is in the simplicity of its formula. It doesn't really need any more analysis than that. It's even in the article, they bring up all the history of slapstick and Jackass's place in, the genre and what's happening to the genre. And they say, at the end of the day, we just make this shit because it's fun, And something's so much more beautiful when it's that simplistic and it's not, trying to appeal to a certain person or reach a certain expectation. And I've always really admired that. So many reboots and remakes don't have the same spirit as the original films because they don't have the same crew. They're not built on the same principles and foundations, and the purpose changes. You get directors that are making these remakes that are completely opposite in ethics and direction and creative ideas to the originals, much like how Ghostbusters was so different in the way it was filmed and its humour style to the original. Jackass never had that problem because it's so still just so purely made of the same people, and that comes across. Nothing's changed. It's been fixed in history, and Jackass 4 is it just slots so perfectly in there with the Jackass series, Jackass 1, 2 and 3. The only thing I can dock it for is that Bam and Ryan aren't in it, because I love Bam and Ryan, but that simply can't be helped. And, that's just a situation that is. Everything else and the foundation of it and why it's so lovable is still there, and I'm so happy that it wasn't a letdown. I'm so happy that for once a reboot or a comeback of a franchise from my childhood wasn't absolutely garbage. And it's the first time in a long time I've been really, really happy seeing a film like that in cinemas. And the first time I had a truly communal experience in cinema room. It was probably the best group experience I've had, and I went alone. Weird. Yeah, that's my review of Jackass 4. I massively recommend it. The only people I don't recommend it for are people who don't like gross out humour or guerrilla style humour. Even if, you're not watching it for nostalgia's sake, it's funny as fuck just watching these guys. And if you want to laugh in a cinema room, and I mean really laugh, go watch it. So thank you very much for listening. Stay tuned for more stuff on this channel, hopefully. Situation's a bit dire right now, but I won't get into why. But I'll keep you posted, and hopefully some stuff is to come. All right then.